Over the past 6 months, I've been trying to get back into gaming, and with every game I try, it pushes me further and further away from getting to the place I want to be. To my dismay, nothing has been grabbing my attention. That was until I found a game that flew under my radar, as I have yet to get my hands on a PlayStation 5. The Pathless is an open world game that combines the wonder of Breath of the Wild's exploration with the fast-paced movement of Spider-Man PS4. This is all packaged in a tightly wrapped bow that runs amazing even on my now 5-year-old PlayStation 4 Slim. The game world is in no way perfect, and neither is the story, but honestly I don't think it needs to be. The Pathless is a game that has an incredible lesson to teach, and it shows you don't need to make a 40-hour game to accomplish it. Welcome to Pancake Wizard 12's The Pathless Review. Hello. So, as you guys know, I don't make videos like this. This is the first time I've ever made a sit-down review video, and I'm super excited to share it with you. The Pathless is a video game that I didn't think I was going to play, mostly because I didn't know it existed. I'm not like I went out of the way not to see it or not to notice it. I thought it was a side-scroller, so I passed over it because they're not my favorite genre. Until a couple weeks ago, I was watching a YouTube video about like 2020's most underrated games or whatever. I don't remember what it was exactly, but the Pathless was on there, and it looked super cool with the gliding movement and the awesome combat. I was like, I need to know what it is because it looks like fun. I want to play it. It was the first game that had sparked my interest in a very long time. And then I found out it was the Pathless, so I went to look for it for the PlayStation 4 as a physical game for a couple weeks. I couldn't find it, and then I should have just looked it up beforehand, but then I found out it wasn't a physical game. As you can tell, I like physical games, so yeah. I caved and bought the game digitally, and I basically binged it. I beat the game in 3 days. It's not very long. It can be longer depending on how much you want to explore the world. I actually explored it a decent bit, even with only playing it for about like 8 to 9 hours, I think. So the game world is super dense, but it's packed with a lot of cool things and a lot of really awesome puzzles and some sweet just story elements, and we'll all go into that in a second, but I want to say this before we start. This is not a critique of the game. This is not a deep dive into what makes the game good versus what makes the game bad. This is my opinion and why I think you should play the game. Also, this is a really awesome video that I've been wanting to make for a while, and it's kind of my start in making review content on the channel. So if you're excited, make sure you smash the like button. I'm really pumped about this. If you want to support and watch videos 24 hours early, you can become a patron down in the description section. I think the base is $2 a month. If you want to support me, that would be awesome. If not, it's perfectly fine. I do put these videos out for all you guys to watch anyways. And that's really going to be it. Let's get into the video. I don't want to make the introduction little section of me talking too long, but I do want to say this. There's 1000% going to be spoilers. So if you have not played the game yet, because it only came out a couple more, I guess it's almost a year now. But if you haven't played it yet, then please get off the video. Please go play the game and then come back, because it's not long enough to really warrant watching this and then going to play. Just go play the game, enjoy it for what it is, and come back and watch the video after. But if you're here to stay, awesome. This is your warning. Once it fades to black and goes to the next section, we will be into spoiler section. So please, please enjoy. The Pathless is a game that slowly opens up its world to you. At first glance, the world is huge, with giant cliffs and massive waterfalls, and as you move around, the camera pans back to show the scale of this world. Without saying a word, it shows you, the player, how significant you are at the start of this story. Now, walking up the giant steps, you run into your first talisman. The camera clings to the marker, showing you there is something more to it, simply beckoning you to figure out why it's there. There is no prompt to show you what you need to do or how to activate the talisman to fill your stamina bar, but personally, I found myself pressing buttons until I figured it out. This exchange was almost a breath of fresh air in a game world filled with tutorials that treat gamers like they are unable to figure anything out on their own, and before you know it, you're sprinting up the hill at breakneck speeds as you reach the first chapter of the story and the gameplay loop is introduced to you. That loop is as follows. Activate what can only be seen as eagle vision from Assassin's Creed to find points of interest on the map. Traverse the world by getting to that point where you do some kind of puzzle to unlock the key needed to activate one of the 3 towers in each section of the map. While moving across the land, there is a constant storm that houses the boss of that area. The storm is trying to catch you, so always being on the move is a good idea. Okay, I'll take it from here because I want to talk about this in a little bit longer length format, and I want you to see my face. So the storms are this like big red swirling ball, like I said before, that follow you around the map, and they're trying to catch up to you because the boss is hunting you. And so what happens is while you're doing puzzles and while you're running around the map trying to find the keys for the towers, it's chasing you constantly. There is no point not chasing you. And when you get farther enough, if you run really far away from it, it will eventually just like zip over next to you, and then you turn around and the storm is right there, and you're like, why are you here? This is getting really annoying. I'm trying to finish a puzzle and you're just behind me, and all I want to do is finish the puzzle. That's a really big part of the game, whenever the storm catches up to you, and you get swirled around in this red mist, and then you lose your eagle. The eagle gets ripped from you, and you have to play this little mini game of getting towards your eagle as it's like screaming for help, and you're trying not to be seen by the god. And basically, the easiest way to explain how this works is it's kind of like whenever someone takes a flashlight and they point it at you, and then they point the flashlight away and you can move, and they point it back at you and you can't move. So that it's not hard to understand the mechanics. And about the 15th time that you do it, it gets really annoying. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the first like 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 times I did it, I lost. I didn't realize that whenever the boss walks over you, it also will see you, because I guess I'm just stupid. But the biggest thing about this part is, once you kind of learn the mechanic, it gets pretty easy, and the cutscene that happens whenever you purify the storm or attack it from the inside or whatever you want to call it is really cool, and it looks really awesome, but it did get kind of repetitive, and I think there's a reason for that, because they want you to not get trapped by the storm. They want to give you a specific reason, because at first I was like, oh, I want to go see what's in the storm, and I did that 2 or 3 times thinking it might be different, because I thought the storm was just the boss fight at first, because, again, I'm stupid. So after like the 3rd or 4th time, I was so over the storm. Every time I would see those red lines appear on my screen, I would turn around and the storm would be right there, or I would come out of a puzzle and the storm would be right there. My first instinct was just, I don't care where I go, I am running away from this thing. So that's what I did. And I think they did an excellent job showing you that you had no power against the storm, so the easiest and best thing to do was to get away from it. And even though they taught it to me in a very annoying way, it was definitely a fun way to do it. So I guess I can give them some props where props are due, I guess. After getting all the keys needed and unlocking the final tower, the boss is finally weak enough to be chased down and battled. Ah, the boss fights. The bosses and the way they interact with you is probably the best part about this game, besides the movement itself. After unlocking the final tower, the storm is moved to the center of the map, where you can hop off the tower and glide into the storm to chase down and hunt the bosses, who are actually corrupted gods, in what feels like a movie scene with excellent camera work. Okay, I hate to rip this away from voiceover Tanner again, but I want to talk about the eagle because it is a really awesome addition. Now, just think, you're using your glider in Breath of the Wild, you know, when you jump off a big cliff, but you just started the game, so you don't have a lot of stamina. So halfway to the ground, you fall because apparently Link can't hold on to the glider anymore, and you die, and then you lose all your... Well, technically you don't lose anything in Breath of the Wild, so forget I said that, but still, the thing that they did with the Pathless that I think makes their glider simulation, which is the Eagle, so cool is they got rid of stamina, and you can glide literally forever. You can just hop on your Eagle and you can glide forever. And it's the most scenic little thing that you can do in the entire game. Not only that, but the Eagle helps you with puzzles. It can pick things up. It can move the mirrors that you need to shoot. It picks up like those, like, I don't know if they're like things of hay. They're like, I don't know how this Eagle is strong. But it helps you with puzzles. It helps you glide. It also has this really cool gameplay feature where you can flap your wings, and then as you play, you unlock I think it's after you get like 6 or something, because it uses up 5. You can do like what I would deem as a super flap, where you just fly really high in the air. And it's such a cool way to be like, oh man, I'm really close to the ground, and then you can just click that button and fling yourself like 40 feet in the air and just continue to glide. When I look at that versus how it's done in Breath of the Wild, I really like Breath of the Wild, by the way. This is not me having Breath of the Wild slander. I just love the fact that I don't have to deal with managing my stamina system as I'm trying to glide. The stamina system is only there as I'm sprinting, which is a really cool way to kind of throw a wrench in one of the systems that I find to be a little bit annoying about Breath of the Wild, but this isn't a Breath of the Wild review, so I gotta stop talking about it. There's also this like really cute part where the Eagle gets dirty from like curse energy, or I'm not really sure what it's called in the game, but you use your joystick to like pet the Eagle and clean it off, and then like the hunter and the Eagle then like hug, and there's this really cool like, and you can pet the Eagle whenever you want to by clicking triangle. It's really cool. It's awesome. I like it. After the sections in the storm, you actually get to pet the Eagle to clean it off from the curse from being in the storm. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I think it's cute and I like animals. To be blunt, when I reached the second boss and it started the same way with the chase scene, I got a bit disappointed as I thought the bosses would all be the same and it would get boring, but I was glad to find out I was wrong. Yes, each boss starts the same with a similar chase scene, but in the second stage, when you move to the arena to fight, they are all very different and offer completely original styles of play. I won't spoil the fights, but they definitely test your game knowledge. The boss fights are this amalgamation of all the mechanics that you've learned while playing, and after each section, they would get tougher to stretch how comfortable you thought you were with the controls and combat systems. Really, to sum up the gameplay portion of this, I was overall pleasantly surprised with how well it kept my attention. Just moving around the map, I found myself running into things I wasn't trying to, as I was having so much fun seeing how far I could go without stopping or slowing down. The gameplay is only one part of this story, and even though it isn't that long, the story of the Pathless is just as important. So let's talk about it. Let's roll back to the beginning, right after we figured out the movement system. This is where we're introduced to the main antagonist, the God Slayer, as well as the mother of the gods, Eagle Mother. You know, you would think that the gameplay would be something that I would enjoy the most in the game, but actually I fell in love with the story and the themes, like the way of the one true path versus the way of the pathless. The fact that the whole game revolves around the hunted and the hunter. The way that it has all these elements of these other open world games that I love, but it spins them in a way that makes this game feel unique and really fun. As well as just showing you everything very slowly and making you learn the backstory and the story of the world by yourself is just awesome. And the way that the story kind of unveils itself to you is through like echoes and cutscenes and the Eagle Mother talking to you. And it's really cool because there aren't any like major cutscenes. It kind of reminds me of Breath of the Wild, you know, where you have to kind of piece together what happens by going over the world and doing the different quests and finding the different cutscenes and memories and things of that nature. But overall, the biggest thing about the game and the story that just clicks with me is the ending. And we'll get there eventually. That's the end of this video. We'll talk about the ending, and I don't want to spoil anything now. If you're still watching the video and you don't want to be spoiled on the game, please stop watching now, because I'm about to spoil the major story plot points of the game, and that is kind of a driving factor behind playing it. So please, if you decided you wanted to watch until this point, just leave now. It'll make everybody happier, I promise. As I mentioned before with the keys, they are actually called lightstones, which have been scattered and hidden away by the Godslayer and his followers. This is so the false god himself could corrupt the spirits of the land and turn them to his side. The first 3 spirits can be conquered in any order you choose. There is Cernos, the elk spirit, Sorrow, the lizard spirit, and Nemu, the snake spirit. In a raging path to become a god himself, the Godslayer is trying to kill all of the Tall Ones and go through the ceremony to truly ascend. After every successful chapter and cleaning a portion of the map of the Godslayer's corruption, the mad god becomes angrier until what feels like a final confrontation. The Godslayer has interesting motives, because he's not a true villain. At no point in the game does the Godslayer strike me as someone who wants to wreak havoc. Actually, it's the opposite. He wants to restore order. He believes that the world is better off with one path, aka the one true path, or one of the, I believe, 2 religions in this world. We don't meet any of the actual NPCs because they're all basically dead. All we get are echoes. And as we go around the map, we get to read these echoes or memories that people have left, like about monasteries and bathhouses and these different towers and the people that live there and how they worship Godslayer or they worship the Tall Ones, and why they worship the people they did, or X, Y, and Z. And you kind of move around the map in this like hopscotch kind of way, as you're doing puzzles and trying to unlock the towers, where you learn piece by piece who the followers of the Godslayer are, and how the Godslayer was a human being who solved the puzzle and got to this mask that changed him, and changed him into what he is now and wanting to become a god. And for a while, I was like super intrigued. I had no idea what was going on. As the narrative opened up, I realized that the Godslayer himself wasn't necessarily a bad guy. He was going about things the wrong way, and he was forcefully making people go down one path that isn't meant for a lot of people in this world, and also is just something that wasn't right, and he was doing it in the wrong way. And I think that's the biggest problem with the Godslayer. Not that he has an idea that everyone should be going down the one true path, and if you aren't going down the one true path, then you're living life wrong, but that he's just going about spreading his message the wrong way. And through the echoes and all of the cutscenes, especially where Eagle Mother talks about his corruption and the way that he's corrupted the world, it's a super interesting way to look at the map. Look at the map. It's an interesting way to look at the story and the way that it lays out its information to you as you figure out who the masked man, or who the person behind the mask, the Godslayer, really is. After reaching what looks to be the final battlefield, you get your butt handed to you. The Godslayer separates you from your eagle, only to then realize that there's nothing special about you, but in fact, it's been the eagle you've been carrying with you this whole time. This was the point in the story where I called back to the first chapter when I met our eagle companion, and it finally clicked for me that maybe this eagle is actually Eagle Mother, and this whole time we've been a vessel to help her get her strength back. With that knowledge in the back of my head, I made my way through the tunnel that led to the cold wonderland. the home of the final spirit and the most powerful, Kumo, the bear spirit. After getting your ass handed to you by the Godslayer and moving through the tunnel and getting to the Cold Wonderland, there is a portion of the map that you look at and you go, wow, this is so much different from the rest of the game. What happened? Kumo was basically the god of this realm, and whenever he got corrupted and he started to become very angry and he lost all of his happiness, he destroyed the lives of everyone in that area that worshipped him like a god. And the idea of that happening and the Godslayer not helping probably made the people of this area very angry, which in turn made Kumo more angry. So this part of the map is like dead. There's like no hope. While you're running around the first 3 areas of the map, it's full of hope. After defeating all of the spirits and releasing the world back to the way it was before the Godslayer took over, there was only one thing left to do. Kill the Godslayer. There was a long trek up the mountain, full of platforming and intense music, as you reach the top and glide onto the floating isle. Or the big orange upside-down mountain that I thought it was the whole game up until this point. As you land, the music stops, and there are only sound effects to be heard as you glide towards the only thing on the map, a silhouette in the distance of a large tower. This part's kind of sad. It also scared the crap out of me, to be fair. So as you move across the land, and then all of the talismans disappear, the Godslayer attacks you. It's also a jump scare, and it scared the living shit out of me, but we're not going to talk about it. Let's just move on. I didn't jump out of my bed or anything. Please don't laugh at me in the comment section. So the Godslayer attacks you. He cuts your bow in half. He also injures you, but in one foul swoop, he corrupts your eagle after realizing that it's a reincarnation of Eagle Mother. This portion of the game is the part where you're finally used to everything that's going on. You finally know the combat systems, you know the movement system, your eagle is super powerful, and you're ready to fight the Godslayer. But you're not ready. You're not ready yet. And when you get everything stripped away from you, and then you go through this super slow and incredibly tense crawl to the tower that you were speeding so quickly to, as you try and not get killed by the eagle who was once your friend. As you reach the end of arguably the most tense section of the game, you get greeted by what looks to be a fountain surrounded by statues of the spirits you saved throughout your journey. Walking up to the fountain, the scene changes to a beautiful pool of water, and the spirits gift you what I would call the spirit bow. This weapon can actually hit and damage the Godslayer, and the final battle is initiated in an amazing cutscene.
Kivator! Jashitan Maza Kiva! Shuvatan Sahil!
Javajiki Mazakiva
Like every battle in this game, the final confrontation has 2 stages. In the first stage, the Godslayer is apparently Ichigo from Bleach because he continuously launches what seems to be a Getsuga Tensho at you over and over again until you shoot him enough times that you defeat the corrupted Eagle Spirit and the Godslayer becomes a full-fledged god. This is where the story gets really good in my opinion, because it's at this point the hunter realizes they can't save the eagle. At the same time, the player realizes they can't save the eagle. Unlike the other spirits before, the hunter has no way of destroying the curse and saving the spirit, and because of this, you as the hunter and the player go through a series of memories about your journey as you search for your lost friend, the eagle. So after playing the entire game with your eagle and then having to do the tense section where you're dodging it and trying not to die, to the point to where all the spirits are on your side but you don't have the eagle anymore, but you can fight the Godslayer and you're trying to not hurt your friend, and then you get to the point to where you're about to save your friend and you realize you can't. You get swirled up in this world of doubt and memories and cloudiness as you go through the events of the game with these like spirit statues until you reach the end where you can finally save your eagle. Now this point is really awesome because it's a sweet callback to the video game itself and the story and the events that led up to this final altercation. But it's also this like almost episode 5 go into the tree, I'm Luke Skywalker and I see my father moment. It's so cool because you're going through and you're like, when does it end? Like, when does it end? I need to find the eagle. I need to find my eagle. Because at first you're like, what is this? You get to you start and you go, what is this? What am I doing? Why am I here? And you get a couple of the statues in and you're like, okay, I need to find my eagle. I want to find my eagle. I want to find my eagle. Where's the eagle? And you get there. And it feels good. It feels like the perfect ending to the story. You have finally reconnected, and you are there, and you're able to save your friend, even at the cost of something great. You finally reach the eagle, and with the power of the other spirits, you absorb the curse that plagued your friend and defeat the Godslayer, who now seems to have turned into Cyclops from X-Men, but we won't talk about that. In one final move, you cure the world of the curse, which is the Godslayer, where you explain that the world is meant to be pathless, as no two people are meant to walk the same road. The eagle and your old friend fly off to show the world light as you die, becoming the savior that no one will remember.
Jajis Azufara. Sujat Dorso.
So the ending of the Pathless is interesting because at first I was kind of upset because I wanted to explore the world in like sunlight and everything. I wanted to be able to maybe look around the floating isle and see what was up there. Obviously probably nothing of great importance, that is. But I got to this point to where your eagle's flying off, and I went, oh, I died. My player character took on the curse to save Eagle Mother, and I died because of it. And while you're fighting the boss, he's like, there's no way no mortal can withstand the curse, blah 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 blah. And you used your help from the spirits that you've saved to take on that curse just long enough to beat the God Slayer, and the world resets itself. And it's this perfect way to end the game. And mostly because in my head, that means that the reason that they ended the story that way is because anyone who would have killed the God Slayer would have been seen as another god. And with the way of the Pathless, the way that no two people, I should say, should have the same path. Having one god that people would worship above all others because of what they did would be wrong for the game. It would be a terrible ending to this really perfectly tied together story. This is a game that does not need a sequel. There's no way this game needs a sequel to it. There's no, unless there's some overarching story that I don't know about, but it doesn't need to exist. Even though your player character does die, even though the hunter does die, you saved the world. And you rid the world of the curse. You allowed it to go back to the light, to the way of the Pathless, allowing people to have choice again and being able to do whatever they want to. And even though some people who play the game might not like that idea, I'm perfectly okay with us sacrificing ourselves to save the life of the eagle, the person that we wanted to save right from the beginning of the game, whenever we first walked up the steps and saw Eagle Mother laying on the stairs, beaten and broken. This game was like the perfect ending to a string of 6 months when I couldn't finish a video game. It wasn't too long, it had an awesome story, it had really compelling gameplay, it was amazing. And if you want to play the game, or if you've played the game already, I want to hear your experiences in the comment section. If you watch this video, even though I told you not to if you haven't played the game, please go play it. It's like a $40 game. It's a super awesome. Support the developers, follow them on Twitter. I'm sure they'll probably make a really cool game after the Pathless. I'm sure they're probably working on something right now. I'm really excited to play whatever that is too. But honestly, I don't have a lot of words to say now. I have a bunch of games I want to play. As at the beginning of the video when I showed you a stack of games, that's like full of games I haven't played yet. Pretty much, for the most part. Besides for like God of War and Ghost of Tsushima. So those are most definitely on my list. I'm thinking I might play Shadow of the Colossus next. I've never played it, so I'm super pumped to give that a shot. I think it would be a great follow-up to this video, but we'll see. I'm not gonna hold my breath, shall you say? I am decently excited though to see what's gonna happen next and where life is going to take me in this channel, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I like making it. The Pathless is an experience that, honestly, I'm really glad that I stumbled upon, because I don't know if I would have played it for a long time if I didn't see that video a few weeks ago. So, thank you to whoever posted that nameless video. I can't remember. I would link it below if I remember where I saw it from. But honestly, if you guys want to do anything awesome for me, just smash the like button, leave a comment on your experience, maybe tell me what your favorite game is, maybe give me some games you want me to review if you liked this format. If you didn't like this format, then leave a dislike, and I will see you guys back here on the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this wonderful look at the Pathless.